You may have noticed I haven't spoken much about Anakin and Padme's plotline. Well, that's because aside from admitting he supports fascism,
Sounds an awful lot like a dictatorship to me.
Well, if it works.
Anakin and Padme have had these painfully awkward conversations with cliched romantic dialogue like this.
From the moment I met you, all those years ago, not a day has gone by when I haven't thought of you. And now that I'm with you again, I'm in agony. The closer I get to you, the worse it gets. The thought of not being with you.
No, you listen. We live in a real world. Come back to it. You're studying to become a Jedi. I'm a senator. If you follow your thoughts through to conclusion, it'll take us to a place we cannot go, regardless of the way we feel about each other.
Then you do feel something.
I will not let you give up your future for me.
Get on with it.
Yes, get on with it!
These two have no on-screen chemistry. Why am I watching this movie? The only reason these two are here is because Luke and Leia have to be born somehow. But did the relationship between their parents really have to be so dry, dull, and uninteresting? Anakin has finally had enough of the bad dreams about his mother. I guess he's as sick of his Oedipus complex as I am. So he drags Padme with him to Tatooine to find her. Whether this is supposed to be like how Luke left his training in Empire, I don't know. But at least in that movie, he was going to rescue main characters who we've grown to like, as opposed to when we saw for like half an hour in the movie nobody liked. They meet with Watto, the annoying alien that owned Anakin and his mother years ago, learning that he sold Anakin's mother to a guy named Lars, who in turn freed her and married her. They go to see Lars, and while there, they meet Uncle Owen and Aunt Beru. Again, only in the movie for fan service. They are so inconsequential to the plot, I don't even know why they're put in here. But C-3PO is here, so that's all good.
Hello. How might I be of service? I am C.
3PO.
The Maker. Oh, Master Annie. I knew you would return. I knew it. And Miss Padme, my.
Hello, 3PO.
Bless my circuits, I'm so pleased to see you both.
I've come to see my mother.
Oh, I think perhaps we'd better go indoors.
You all saw it here, folks. The soulless, emotionless robot just showed more emotion and acting skills than the two flesh and blood characters on screen just now. Make your own conclusions. Lars explains that Sand People kidnapped Anakin's mother. 30 people went looking for her, but only 4 came back. Lars himself lost his leg. As a result, she's been gone a month, and Lars isn't hopeful that she's still alive. Anakin asks Padme to stay with Lars' family while creating an incredibly unsubtle shadow on the house before heading out to find his mother. Despite giving no clues, not knowing how long it would take, not knowing where the hell he's going, not knowing which Sand People tried to look for, he manages to find the exact village and then the exact hut his mother's in. I don't like that position she's tied down in. Ew. Anakin unties her and manages to get a few words out of her before she dies. Anakin doesn't take it well. Oh my god! How is this guy a Jedi? A monk-like peacekeeper? And no, I do not want the excuse that he's going to become Darth Vader. This is not how you make a sympathetic backstory. This is how someone who is already a scumbag and becomes a serial killer. We finally get back to Obi-Wan as he tracks Jango to the planet Geonosis, where he discovers a droid factory, as well as the leaders of the Separatists. And I'm sad to say Newt Gunray from the last movie is there as well. Well, it's good to see the Separatists will be incompetent. This scene does establish one good thing, though. Dooku is, in fact, played by Christopher Lee. Believe it or not, because I have a hard time believing it, But apparently George Lucas meant for Dooku's character to be morally ambiguous. That we're not supposed to realize that he is a villain until the very end when he meets up with the Emperor. I just don't...
That old man's mad.
You said it, Chewie.
If you wanted your villain to be morally ambiguous, then why did you cast fucking Dracula? Obi-Wan tries to contact the Jedi on Coruscant, but can't get a signal. Wait, Geonosis is in the Outer Rim. How the hell can he get a signal in the rain-soaked Camino, also in the Outer Rim, but not on Geonosis? He decides to contact Anakin, yeah, like he's gonna listen, which thankfully R2 is the one who gets the message. Hey look, Anakin's back. R2's gonna tell him right away, right? Right? We're gonna have to sit and watch Anakin mope and contradict the original trilogy again, aren't we?
It's all Obi-Wan's fault. He's jealous. He's holding me back.
And he was a good friend.
Anakin and Padme meet in Luke's workshop, where Anakin admits to committing genocide.
I killed them. I killed them all. They're dead. Every single one of them. And not just the men, but the women. And the children, too. They're like animals, and I slaughtered them like animals. I hate them!
R2 finally gets the others' attention and tells them about Obi-Wan's message. Padme sends the message to Coruscant, which informs the Jedi about Obi-Wan's findings. However, the message also shows Obi-Wan had been captured. Mace orders Anakin to stay where he is while they deal with the situation. They don't listen. Are you really that surprised? Mace, Yoda, Organa, Palpatine, and Jar Jar. Yes, Jar Jar's in this scene. I need my medication. Discuss assembling the clones to counter the droid factory, but Organa is still under the stupid impression the Senate won't approve of an army. Palpatine's advisors suggest that Palpatine be given emergency powers so he can approve of the clone army without the Senate approval. Then he gives Jar Jar an incredibly unsubtle nudge.
But what senator would have the courage to propose such a radical amendment?
If only Senator Amidala were here.
Subtlety doesn't exist in Star Wars anymore, does it? Dooku talks to Obi-Wan, and we get a nice bit of characterization from Dooku, explaining that he trained Qui-Gon, the Jedi who trained Obi-Wan. Or, wait, didn't Obi-Wan say in Empire Strikes Back that Yoda... Oh, never mind. Qui-Gon was a pretty big plot hole unto himself. Dooku tries to get Obi-Wan to join the Separatists by saying the Senate is being controlled by Darth Sidious, the Dark Lord of the Sith.
You must join me, Obi-Wan. And together, we will destroy the Sith. We must join with him, Gundam. We must join with Sauron.
The sad thing is, he flat out said Palpatine is Darth Sidious, yet Obi-Wan is clueless. He might as well have a neon sign behind him that reads, Palpatine is the Dark Lord of the Sith, and he's going to destroy the Republic from within. And Obi-Wan still wouldn't get it. During a Senate meeting... Oh, God, no.
Misa proposed that the Senate give immediately emergency powers to the Supreme Chancellor.
Thanks. I will now use those powers to get this idiot out of the Senate.
Now that would have been the funny way this scene ended. Anakin and Padme show up at the droid factory and get into a fight with the locals. Great, it's another bug hunt. I wanted a stand-up fight. It's completely dull because the Geonosians are complete wimps. There's like 20 of them and their aim is on par with, well, stormtroopers. R2 and 3PO do get into the factory unnoticed because, hey, they're droids, no one pays attention to them. C-3PO gets his head switched with a battle droid, which is kind of funny, and R2 saves Padme from getting melted by hot slag. Might as well. R2's always saving everyone's ass in Star Wars. And like Obi-Wan's fight with Jango earlier, it's completely pointless, as Anakin gets his lightsaber destroyed, and Jango captures Anakin and Padme. As the two are brought into a coliseum for their execution, They proceed and have the most unromantic I love you exchange I've ever seen on film.
I've been dying a little bit each day since you came back into my life.
What are you talking about? That we would be forced to live a lie. And that it would destroy our lives.
I think our lives are about to be destroyed anyway. I truly, deeply love you. And before we die, I want you to know.
Get on with it. Yes, get on with it.
Oh, thank Christ that's over. Obi-Wan thankfully makes up for it by saying the funniest line I ever heard in Star Wars.
Then we decided to come and rescue you. Good job.
So now our heroes are strapped to poles in a coliseum so monsters can eat them. They have a factory building thousands of battle droids. Why not just line them up against a firing squad and kill them that way?
I've got a bad feeling about this.
Oh look, an overused phrase in Star Wars.
I have a bad feeling about this.
Oh, I have a bad feeling about this.
I have a very bad feeling about this.
I got a bad feeling about this.
I have a bad feeling about this.
I have a bad feeling about this.
I have a really bad feeling about this.
I have a bad feeling about this.
I have a really bad feeling about this.
I have a bad feeling about this.
I've got a bad feeling about this, sir.
The monsters seem pretty incompetent given how they can't just eat them despite how they're tied down. Anakin even takes control of one and uses it to kill another. Eventually Mace shows up with reinforcements. A fight scene that isn't pointless is actually kind of cool? You don't say. Jango starts to lose his competency as he gets run over by one of the monsters that are still alive despite gunfire being shot all over the place. Then he sees Mace coming towards him with his purple lightsaber, so obviously he uses his jetpack to fly out of the way. Oh, wait. No, he doesn't. The Jedi eventually get surrounded with only named characters alive. Of course, the only way you know that is if you read the books. That's great storytelling. Dooku addresses Mace, and throughout the entire exchange, I was expecting this to happen.
Surrender, and your lives will be spared.
Oh, I'm sorry. Did I break your concentration?
So the Jedi are surrounded by the CGI robots around the blue screen. Incoming rescue from Yoda and the clones in 3, 2, 1...
Around the survivors, a perimeter create.
Aww, don't you feel bad for poor little Boba? His father that contributed nothing to Star Wars just died. Obi-Wan and Anakin and Padme go after Dooku because, God forbid, any other Jedi do anything in this movie. The ship gets hit and Padme falls out onto the battlefield. And despite the fact he saw she was just fine and could easily just go to a clone command post, Anakin demands to stop and get her. Ugh, why doesn't anyone listen to Obi-Wan in this movie? They have to stop Dooku, the obvious villain, and Anakin wants to stall everybody because of his childhood obsession. Obi-Wan eventually convinces him to stick around, and they find Dooku in a hangar bay.
We'll take them together. You're going slowly on the left.
Taking him now!
No, Anakin, no!
Oh look, another overused phrase in Star Wars. Obi-Wan fights Dooku, he gets KO'd, Anakin leaves him and takes on Dooku, rinse and repeat. I really shouldn't have to say that in a good movie, so what does that tell you about Attack of the Clones? Remember, this character is morally ambiguous. Yoda shows up and fights Dooku, and unlike the previous fight, this one actually does feel a little better. Particularly with this line here.
I've become more powerful than any Jedi. Even you.
Much to learn, you still have.
But wait, it gets better.
Fought well you have, my old Padawan.
This is just the beginning.
I get the feeling they knew each other once, and shows the superior acting of Christopher Lee. Dooku escapes, of course, so he can get decapitated in the first 10 minutes of the next movie. Yoda proclaims the Clone Wars have begun, Anakin and Padme get married, I need my medication again, bringing the movie to a close. Woo! Why did I just watch that? Attack of the Clones was quite a ride. Not a fun one, of course. There is no tension or drama because the characters are not as interesting as they're put out to be. Anakin is extremely whiny and angsty to the point that his eventual turn to Darth Vader is less of a tragedy and more like a kid who was picked on at school and just cracked and decided to go on a violent killing spree. Many characters are flat and uninteresting, and even the better actors like Ewan McGregor, Ian McDiarmid, and Christopher Lee can't do much with their dialogue. It certainly doesn't help that every single shot in the entire movie is on a green screen. I'm not on a blue screen. In fact, let's take a look around, shall we? Let's see walls, house, TV set, door, an actual physical location. Lucas, this is not complicated. But what's probably the biggest flaw is the lack of subtlety and logic. Plenty of characters, especially Anakin, don't act rationally, and common sense does not occur to the Jedi Council, the Senate, the Geonosians, the Separatists, the script, and George Lucas. Whenever the movie tries to give a nod to the original trilogy, or even try to clue another character in on something, it's completely obvious to the point that it's insulting, especially since we get several instances where, despite how obvious one character is being, another is completely clueless.
Did IQs just drop sharply while I was away?
I'm pretty sure you just hit it right on the money, Ripley. This movie...
Suddenly it occurs to you, Liz. Your hate has made you powerful. The hate you feel towards me and all that you review. You are already on the path to the dark side. Embrace it. Now is the time to fulfill your destiny.
Never!
Yes. Take your Jedi weapon. Strike me down with all of your hatred, and your journey towards the dark side will be complete.
Never. I'll never turn to the dark side. You failed Attack of the Clones. You're just a stupid, stupid movie. Nothing more.